to graph the figure and then see if we can identify what shape it is based upon the things that are presented. Okay? It's on page 28. Okay? All right? So first thing that you always want to do here is you want to just simply graph the 4 points and then connect them to make your quadrilateral. Okay? So if we start with D at -7, +3, you got your D. Okay, E at -2, 3. And then just keep going around. +1, -4. G. All right, when you do go to connect your sides, remember go alphabetically. So D to E, E to F, F to G, and then D to G. Okay? All right? All right, so now our objective, okay, is to identify whether or not it's a parallelogram, a square, a rhombus, a kite, a trapezoid, an isosceles trapezoid, so on and so forth. Okay? All right, so the way that we're going to do this is by focusing on 2 things. Okay? You are going to, number 1, find the slopes of all 4 sides. So we're going to find the slopes of DE, find the slopes of EF, find the slope of GF, and find the slope of DG. Okay? Now, there's a reason for this. What does the slope tell us? What does slope show? Okay, slopes show whether or not the lines are parallel. How would we know that they are parallel?
Same slope.
Okay, if they have the same slope. Okay, what else can slope show us?
Perpendicular line.
It can also show you whether or not you have lines that are perpendicular. How would you identify that?
Reciprocals.
Very good. Opposite reciprocals. Okay, so that's the important part in terms of identifying the slope. Okay, now the second thing that we are going to do is we are going to find the lengths of those same 4 sides. So you're going to find the length of DE, find the length of side EF, find the length of GF, and find the length of DG. Okay? What are the lengths going to show us?
How long it is.
How long it is, and how would that help us determine what shape it is?
The sides.
What about the
If
sides?
they're equal.
All right, it's going to determine whether or not the sides are equal to each other. All right? So the lengths are going to determine whether or not we have equal sides or not. Okay? All right, so 2 things that you have to make sure that you know how to do. Number 1, finding slope. You can use your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or just do rise over run since it's already graphed. Okay? Big reminder is that positive slopes go up and down, negative slopes go up from left to right, negative slopes go down from left to right. Okay? And then the lengths, you got to either use D equal to the square root of y2 minus y1 quantity squared plus x2 minus x1 quantity squared, or use the Pythagorean theorem, because the distance formula is the Pythagorean theorem. All right, so finding the slopes from D to E. Well, since DE is horizontal, what's the slope?
0.
0.
0 over 5.
0 over 5 or 0. What's the slope of GF if it's also horizontal? 0. Okay? So what has that shown us so far?
They're parallel.
Those 2 sides are parallel. What's the slope from E to F?
5.
We gotta do
4
that too.
over 1, 2, 4 over 3.
Okay? Rise over run. Okay? Just do your rise over run, and she said 4 over 3. What's the slope from D to G?
4 over 3.
It's also 4 over 3. Okay? So what has that shown us so far?
The sides are parallel.
Why'd you write 6 over 3 plus 4 over 3?
That's a 4. Okay?
DGF.
All right. The length of D to E. Since it's horizontal, I can just simply count the squares. What's the length of DE?
1, 2, 3,
5.
5.
What's the length from G to F? 5. Okay? Now, when you go to find the length from E to F and from D to G, you can either use the distance formula, or what I did over here was I made a right triangle. This has a side length of 4, this has a side length of 3, and therefore DG, the hypotenuse, I can get from doing a squared plus b squared. What's 4 squared plus 3 squared?
Squares up and squares.
I just counted the squares up and the squares across. So 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So that means from D to G is 5, and if we do the math, E to F is also going to be 5. So opposite sides are parallel, but they are not perpendicular. Okay, we don't have any perpendicular sides. But all the sides are equal, making it not a square, because we don't have right angles. It's a rhombus.
Rhombus.
So why don't?
Are you recording us today? Can I shout out my
Okay,
Twitter? I'm
no.
almost at 100 followers.
No. Okay? All right, so in example number 2, first thing that we always do is we graph it. All right, after graphing, just remember, make sure that you just connect in alphabetical order. All right, so then, your next part is you will always find the slopes of the 4 sides. So find the slope from A to B, find the slope from B to C, find the slope from C to D, find the slope from A to D. A to B.
Is it 611?
6, well, let's see. -1 minus -7 is
I got -2 or
6.
3.
I got 12, 6 over 12. So I got 1/2 for A to B.
That's probably
Anybody got the slope from B to C? 4 over what? 7. But since it's going down from left to right, shouldn't it be -4 over 7? Because you would go down 4 across 7, right? Okay. What's the slope from D to C? 1/2 again. Okay. And then what's the slope from D to A?
-4 over 7.
No, it's not.
Oh,
-6 divided by 3 is -2. Okay? All right, so now we stop and we ask ourselves, okay, what is it showing? Very good, okay? If you heard what she said, it's showing that one set of sides is parallel. Is it showing 2 set of sides parallel? All right, so what shapes only have one set of sides parallel? Trapezoid and isosceles trapezoid.
yeah.
Okay, so the reason why we now have to find the lengths of the same 4 sides, okay, is to determine whether it's isosceles or not. Okay, so now you got to find the length of AB, BC, CD, and AD. We get 180. If we do from B to C, you said it's down 4 over 7, so the 2 legs of the triangle are 4 and 7. 4 squared is 16, 7 squared is 49, 16 squared 49 is 65. From C to D, you said it was up 4 over 8, so 4 squared plus 8 squared, 16 plus 64 is the square root of 80. And then from D to A, you said it was down 6 and over 3, so 6 squared and 3 squared gives you the square root of 45. Are the legs of this trapezoid equal to each other? No.
Not at all.
So therefore, the only thing that we could say is that it is a trapezoid. Okay? All right, first thing, remember, we're going to graph it.
How do we know if it's actually 9?
All right, so after you graph it, reminder, you got to find the slopes of the 4 sides. So find the slope of A to B, find the slope from B to C, find the slope from C to D, find the slope from A to D.
We got -1/2. Yeah, over 5.
All right, so
Which one are we finding?
you had -1/2 for your slope, okay? And what side did you have? You had positive 1/2?
Yeah.
2 over 4.
Okay.
So.
So you had a negative 1/2, and it's going up from left to right, and they had a positive 1/2, and it's going up from left to right.
Alright, fine.
It should be a positive 1/2,
Yep.
okay? So your two sides so far are parallel. Did you guys get BC? Not negative 1/2. Should be negative 2,
Oh, wait.
okay? Asil, did your group get the slope from A to D?
Yeah, we got -2.
Negative 2. All right. So if we look at this, okay, we have two sets of sides that are parallel, okay? But then what is the relationship between 1/2 and
They're
negative 2?
inverse.
They're not,
Reciprocal.
they're opposite reciprocals. So now what it's showing is that we have 4 right angles. So what can this shape possibly be now?
A rectangle or a square.
So that's where the lengths are important, because that'll determine whether it's a square or not. So Matt's table, you had the length from A to B. What'd you get?
For the length too?
All right, we'll skip and come back. Colin, Lynette, you had the slope, or the length from B to C.
Okay, well now I know what slope it was, hold on, or the
Length,
long.
okay? Questions?
Yeah.
Make a triangle, a right triangle out of your side lengths. Okay, if I wanted to find the length from A to D, do you agree that this is a right triangle?
That's
Okay, so can I use the Pythagorean theorem and say, oh, this is 3, this is 6, A squared plus B squared equals C squared, the unknown.
Correct.
So 3 squared is 9, 6 squared is 36, 9 plus 36 is 45, the square root of 45. And then I just break down the square root of 45 to 3 root 5. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So the big idea that you have to know is you always are finding the slopes of all 4 sides, and you are always finding the lengths of all 4 sides, and that's going to help you distinguish what shape it is.